John, we're here at the round table. Why Donald Trump?
You know, he's unowned. And it's the first time really that America has had the opportunity to vote for somebody that isn't controlled by special interests. And we followed his campaign from the very beginning. And of course, he's saying things that really have not been said for a while, and he's broaching conversations that perhaps are due to be broached. America is in a very dangerous financial situation at the moment. If there were to be a crisis of confidence in the dollar, that would affect everybody all over the world. And it's vital that a good manager is President of the United States, and he has got an amazing track record in business and knows how to run things.
But there's no denying, with that aside, he is a very controversial figure at the moment. And so, bearing that in mind, and where you're based, several thousand miles away, where did the idea come to make him an honorary knight? What made you decide one day that that was the move you were going to take?
Well, we saw what he did for the veterans. And in America, there is a very serious situation where people who have gone to war, and whether you agree with the war or whether you don't agree with the war, what I think we can all agree with is that veterans should get the correct medical help that they need when they come back. And what Donald Trump has done is he has raised a tremendous amount of money for the veterans, and he has promised to make sure that they get the medical help that they need. I think the waiting lists in America for veterans to receive the medical help that they need is highest ever. And he is somebody who has really done something in that regard, and I think that's a very noble thing to draw attention to.
But I think many viewers, maybe sat at home, will say, you're over all the way here in Cornwall. Is it a publicity stunt? Is that why you've decided to do it?
No, not at all. Obviously, that has been suggested. It isn't. It is simply that we recognize the fact that whoever is elected as President of the United States is going to affect our lives. Let's be fair. You know, we have ended up in 2 wars as a result of the relationship that we have with the American president. Most people in England did not want to end up in those wars. Donald Trump was one of the few public figures that was completely opposed to the Iraq War, and you may remember most people in England didn't want to go into the Iraq War. So I think who is elected as President of the United States affects us all. You know, we are these days very, very connected as a community. And so I think we have every right to weigh in on who we think would be the optimum president for the United States.
But bringing it to perhaps on a more flippant but slightly more light-hearted note.
Yes.
Do you do this very often? It's quite an unusual move to suddenly
Well,
declare you're making an honorary knight.
Yes, we do it very, very rarely. And we do it, it is a great honor because the Noble Order of Camelot Castle is something that we do take very, very seriously. We have granted knighthoods previously. Some of them obviously are private for obvious reasons, but in fact we did knight Nicolas Cage.
And what kind of response did you get when you knighted Nicolas Cage?
Well, I think he is somebody, for instance, who's done a great deal for the arts. And he's encouraged a lot of artists. And I think he was delighted, as far as I know.
And what response have you had then from Mr. Trump himself? I know you mentioned his solicitor has been retweeting some of your tweets.
Yes, his lawyer did, and one of his, somebody who was working for him in public relations also has been forwarding some of our tweets. You know, we haven't had a formal response from him yet, but let's see.
And what would you say to him? If there was a chance he would watch this on the internet, what would you say to him?
I think he is one of the most noble men today in the world, and I think what he is doing is something that will go down in history. And I think King Arthur would be proud.
And you'd like him sat here at this very table?
Well, we'd be honoured.